I was sitting at the dining table when my brother walked in like he owned the world. His chest puffed out, his grin wide enough to split his face. He didn't even greet anyone. He just tossed his jacket onto the chair and announced it loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I got the promotion. My parents looked up from their plates, eyes glowing with pride. My mother actually stood up, hands clasped together like she'd just witnessed a miracle. My father clapped him on the shoulder, beaming. My sister squealed and rushed over to hug him. It was a parade, a celebration. And I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, watching the show. Senior VP of Operations, he continued, soaking in the attention. Youngest in the company's history. 6-figure salary. Corner office. The whole package. My mother wiped a tear from her eye. We always knew you'd make it, sweetheart. You worked so hard. He nodded, humble bragging his way through every word. Yeah, it wasn't easy. But I stayed focused. I didn't let distractions get in the way. That last part, he looked directly at me when he said it. I set my fork down slowly. Congratulations, I said flatly. He smirked. Thanks, little sis. Maybe one day you'll get there too. The table went quiet for a second. Just a second. Then my father laughed it off, and the congratulations resumed. But I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just stared at him, my jaw tight, my fingers curling into fists under the table. Because I knew something they didn't. I knew exactly how he got that promotion. And I knew it was about to come crashing down. I took a sip of water, let the moment settle, and then I spoke. Actually, there's something I need to say. Everyone froze. The air in the room shifted. My brother's smirk faltered for half a second before he recovered, tilting his head like I was about to tell a joke. My mother frowned. My father raised an eyebrow. My sister looked confused. What is it, honey? My mother asked gently, as if I were about to announce something trivial. I leaned back in my chair, hands folded calmly on the table. My heart was pounding, but my voice was steady. I just think it's interesting, I said slowly, that you got promoted right after your boss's assistant quit. The room went still. My brother's face didn't change, but his eyes did. They hardened. What are you talking about? I'm talking about Emily, I said. The assistant who worked under your boss for 3 years. The one who suddenly resigned 2 weeks ago with no explanation. My father waved a hand dismissively. People quit jobs all the time. What does that have to do with anything? I kept my eyes on my brother. It has everything to do with it. Because Emily didn't just quit. She was forced out. My brother laughed, sharp, defensive. That's ridiculous. She left on her own. I don't know where you're getting this from. I'm getting it from Emily, I said calmly. Because I talked to her. The silence was deafening. My mother blinked. You talked to her? I did, I said. Last week. We met for coffee. She told me everything. My brother's jaw clenched. You had no right to. I had every right, I cut him off. Especially after what you did to her. My sister leaned forward, her voice small. What did he do? I paused, letting the tension build. Then I looked around the table, meeting each of their eyes. He sabotaged her, I said. He framed her for mistakes she never made. He manipulated reports, altered emails, and made it look like she was incompetent. And he did it all so he could take credit for her work and get the promotion himself. The table erupted. My mother gasped, hand flying to her mouth. My father's face darkened, his eyes snapping to my brother. My sister's mouth fell open in shock. But my brother, he didn't flinch. He didn't deny it. He just stared at me with cold, calculating eyes. That's a lie, he said quietly. It's not, I replied. And I can prove it. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. I placed it on the table, sliding it toward the center. My father picked it up slowly, his hands trembling slightly. He opened it, and his face went pale. Inside were printed emails. Screenshots. Reports with timestamps. Everything Emily had saved before she was forced out. Everything my brother had done to destroy her credibility and steal her work. My father flipped through the pages, his jaw tightening with every second. My mother leaned over to look, her hand covering her mouth as she read. My sister sat frozen, eyes wide. These are your emails, my father said, looking up at my brother. Your name is all over this. My brother's mask cracked. His jaw worked, his fists clenched on the table. You don't understand, he said. This is business. That's how the game works. You do what you have to do to get ahead. You ruined someone's career, I said, my voice rising. You destroyed her reputation. You made her look incompetent so you could climb over her. That's not business. That's cruelty. My mother's voice was barely a whisper. Why would you do this? He didn't answer. He just sat there, his chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. My father closed the folder and set it down carefully. His voice was low, shaking with anger. Is this true? My brother's eyes flicked to me, then back to my father. She's making it sound worse than it is. Answer the question, my father demanded. Silence. Then, finally, my brother looked away. I did what I had to do. My mother's chair scraped back as she stood, her face twisted in disbelief. You admit it? You actually admit it. My brother's expression hardened. You wouldn't understand. You've never had to fight for anything. I've worked my entire life to get where I am. I wasn't going to let some assistant take what was mine. It wasn't yours, I said, my voice sharp. It was hers. She did the work. She earned the recognition. You stole it. He turned on me, eyes blazing. You think you're so righteous, don't you? You've always been jealous. You've always resented me because I was the successful one. The one who actually made something of myself. I resent you because you're a fraud, I shot back. Because you lied, cheated, and destroyed someone's life for your own gain. That's not success. That's pathetic. My father slammed his hand on the table, making everyone jump. Enough. Both of you. He looked at my brother, his face a mixture of anger and disappointment. I don't know who you've become. But this isn't the son I raised. Dad, you don't. I said enough. My father's voice was ice cold. You need to leave. Now. My brother stared at him, disbelief flickering across his face. You're kicking me out? Over this? Yes, my father said firmly. Until you take responsibility for what you've done, you're not welcome in this house. My mother said nothing. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face, her hand pressed to her chest. My sister looked between them, her voice trembling. This can't be real. But it was real. And my brother knew it. He stood slowly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. He grabbed his jacket, his movements stiff and mechanical. He looked at me one last time, his eyes filled with venom. You'll regret this, he said quietly. No, I replied. You will. He turned and walked out, slamming the door behind him. The house was silent. For a long moment, no one moved. My mother sank back into her chair, her face buried in her hands. My father stood at the head of the table, staring at the closed door, his jaw clenched tight. My sister looked at me, her eyes filled with confusion and something else, fear, maybe. How did you know? She asked quietly. How did you find out? I took a breath, steadying myself. I've known for a while. I had suspicions months ago when he started talking about his projects at work. He'd mentioned things that didn't add up. Details that seemed too polished, too perfect. Then Emily reached out to me on LinkedIn 3 weeks ago. My mother looked up, her eyes red. She reached out to you? Why? Because she knew we were related, I said. She'd seen pictures of us together at company events. After she was forced to resign, she started digging into what happened. She found the trail of altered emails, the manipulated reports. She realized what he'd done. And she wanted someone to know the truth. So you met with her, my father said slowly. I nodded. I did. She gave me copies of everything. She didn't want revenge. She just wanted the truth to come out. She wanted people to know she wasn't incompetent. That she didn't fail. That she was sabotaged. My sister's voice was barely a whisper. And you kept this to yourself? Until now. I had to, I said. I needed to make sure the evidence was solid. I needed to verify everything before I said anything. Because I knew that once I opened this door, there was no closing it. My father sat down heavily, rubbing his face with both hands. I can't believe this. I can't believe he would do something like this. He did, I said quietly. And Emily isn't the only one. Everyone looked at me. My mother's voice cracked. What do you mean she's not the only one? I reached into my bag again and pulled out a second folder. This one was thicker, heavier. I placed it on the table, and my father stared at it like it was a bomb. What is that? He asked. More evidence, I said. Emily wasn't the first person he sabotaged. There were two others before her. A junior analyst named Marcus, and a project manager named Sarah. My sister's face went white. You're lying. I'm not, I said. Marcus was fired 2 years ago after a major client presentation went wrong. My brother altered the slides the night before, changed key data points, and made it look like Marcus had screwed up. Marcus lost his job. My brother got promoted to lead the project. My mother shook her head, tears streaming down her face. No, he wouldn't. He did, I said firmly. And Sarah, she left the company 18 months ago after being accused of leaking confidential information to a competitor. She didn't do it. My brother planted fake emails in her account to frame her. She couldn't prove her innocence, so she resigned before she was fired. My father opened the second folder with trembling hands. Inside were affidavits, statements from Marcus and Sarah, email records, testimony from other coworkers who had witnessed suspicious behavior but had been too afraid to speak up. This is, my father couldn't finish the sentence. It's a pattern, I said. He's done this over and over again. Anyone who stood in his way, anyone who threatened his climb to the top, he destroyed them. And he got away with it because no one wanted to believe the golden boy could be capable of something like this. My mother sobbed openly now, her shoulders shaking. My sister just stared at the table, her face blank. My father looked up at me, his eyes filled with pain. What do we do now? I took a deep breath. We take this to his company. My mother's head snapped up. What? We report him, I said. We give them the evidence. All of it. Let them investigate. Let them see what he's really done. My father hesitated. That will destroy his career. He destroyed 3 people's careers, I said. He deserves the same. My sister's voice was shaky. But he's our brother. He's family. I looked at her, my voice softening. I know. And that's why this hurts so much. But he made his choices. He chose to lie, to cheat, to ruin innocent people. And if we don't do something, he'll keep doing it. He'll destroy more lives. Is that what you want? She didn't answer. She just looked down at her hands. My father closed the folder slowly. You're right, he said quietly. As much as it kills me to say it, you're right. We can't protect him from this. Not when he's done something this terrible. My mother wiped her eyes, her voice broken. He's going to hate us. He already hates me, I said. But that doesn't change what needs to happen. My father nodded, his jaw set. I'll call his company's HR department tomorrow. I'll set up a meeting. We'll present everything. I'll come with you, I said. Emily, Marcus, and Sarah deserve to have their voices heard. My mother looked at me, her eyes filled with sorrow and something else, pride, maybe. You're very brave, she said softly. Braver than I could ever be. I didn't feel brave. I felt sick. But I knew it was the right thing to do. The next morning, my father and I drove to my brother's company headquarters. The building was sleek and modern, all glass and steel. We walked through the lobby, took the elevator to the 12th floor, and sat in a conference room with the head of HR and the company's legal counsel. The HR director was a sharp woman in her 50s named Margaret. She listened carefully as we presented the evidence, her expression neutral, but her eyes alert. The legal counsel, a man named Richard, took notes on a tablet, his fingers moving quickly across the screen. When we finished, Margaret leaned back in her chair, her hands steepled in front of her. "This is very serious," she said. "If what you're saying is true, this constitutes fraud, harassment, and unethical conduct on multiple levels." "It's all true," I said. "Every word. Every document." Emily, Marcus, and Sarah are all willing to testify. Richard looked up from his tablet. "We'll need to conduct a full internal investigation. We'll interview all parties involved, review email records, and cross-reference the claims with our internal systems." My father nodded. "We understand. We just want the truth to come out." Margaret's gaze softened slightly. "I appreciate you coming forward with this. It takes courage to report family, especially in a situation like this." "We didn't have a choice," I said quietly. "People's lives were destroyed. They deserve justice." Margaret nodded. "We'll begin the investigation immediately. In the meantime, your brother will be placed on administrative leave pending the outcome." My stomach twisted. Administrative leave. That meant he'd know. He'd know we went to the company. He'd know we turned him in. As if reading my thoughts, Margaret said, "He'll be notified this afternoon. I recommend you prepare for that conversation." My father's face was grim. "We will." We left the building in silence. The drive home felt longer than it should have. My father didn't speak. He just gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. When we pulled into the driveway, my mother was waiting at the door. Her eyes were red, her face pale. "He called," she said. "He knows." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my brother. "You destroyed me. I hope you're proud." I stared at the message, my hands trembling. My father took the phone from me, read it, and handed it back without a word. My mother ushered us inside, locking the door behind us as if that could keep the storm at bay. The next few weeks were brutal. The company launched a full investigation. Emails were subpoenaed. Witnesses were interviewed. Emily, Marcus, and Sarah all came forward with their testimony. The evidence was overwhelming. My brother fought back. He hired a lawyer, tried to discredit the claims, accused Emily of fabricating evidence out of spite. But the digital trail was undeniable. The timestamps, the metadata, the corroborating accounts from other employees, it all pointed to him. 3 weeks after the investigation began, the company issued a statement. My brother was terminated for gross misconduct. His promotion was revoked. His employment contract was dissolved. And because the fraud involved company resources and client data, the legal team recommended pursuing criminal charges. My mother broke down when she heard the news. My father sat in silence, staring at nothing. My sister locked herself in her room and didn't come out for 2 days. I felt numb. I kept telling myself I'd done the right thing. That justice had been served. That Emily, Marcus, and Sarah deserved vindication. But it didn't make it hurt any less. My brother didn't contact me again. He didn't contact any of us. He moved out of state, disappeared from social media, cut off all communication. For a while, I wondered if I'd made a mistake. If I should have handled it differently. If I should have given him a chance to come clean on his own. But then Emily sent me a message. "Thank you," she wrote. "You gave me my life back. You believed me when no one else did." I can't tell you what that means. Marcus reached out too. Then Sarah. They all thanked me. They all said the same thing. "You saved us." And that's when I knew. I'd done the right thing. 6 months have passed since that dinner. 6 months since I spoke those words and everything changed. My family is still healing. My mother doesn't talk about my brother much, but I see the pain in her eyes when his name comes up. My father is quieter now, more withdrawn. My sister has started seeing a therapist to process everything. As for me, I carry it with me every day. The weight of what I did. The cost of telling the truth. But I also carry the messages from Emily, Marcus, and Sarah. The thank yous. The relief in their voices when they told me they'd finally been able to move forward with their lives. Emily got a new job at a company that values her. Marcus is rebuilding his career. Sarah is thriving. And my brother? I don't know where he is or what he's doing. Part of me hopes he's learned something. That he's changed. That he's taken responsibility for what he did. But I'm not holding my breath. The truth is, some people don't change. Some people will always choose themselves, no matter who gets hurt. And when you're faced with someone like that, you have a choice. You can stay silent. Protect them. Let them keep hurting people. Or you can speak up. Even if it costs you everything. I chose to speak. And I'd do it again. Because at the end of the day, the truth matters. Justice matters. And the people who've been wronged deserve to be heard. So if you're in a situation like mine, if you know something is wrong, if you have evidence, if you have the power to make things right, don't stay silent. Speak up. Even if your voice shakes. Even if it costs you. Because the truth will always matter more than comfort. And that's something worth fighting for. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.